New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Hello, everybody. How are you? I am Gil.
I'm Robyn.
And we are here with Rockin the Love, as we are every Wednesday. And so this is our opportunity to hang out with you for a little bit, think about what it means to be in relationship with everything.
With everything. Good Lord. With everything, as if only one relationship wasn't enough. But that's what we do. We're Rockin the Love. And if you could like us, we would like you. No, like our social media things, and let us know you're here in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to talk to you. And, you know, on this auspicious day of 9/11, we want to take a moment to just honor that and hear what's on your mind, what's come up. Hi, Shay. Welcome. Oh, thanks. Thanks so much. And welcome you. So, 9/11.
Yeah. Such an interesting bit of history with all that happened on that particular day and all of the review of that and all of it. And, you know, my ultimate personal result is something went horribly wrong somewhere. And people did stuff they shouldn't have done, you know, and I don't know who it was. I don't know why, but I do know that it was people that, for whatever reason, wanted to affect some kind of torment and change in our country, no matter where they were coming from. So, you know, I don't even think you have to go with the official story or any of the conspiracy stories or any of that. Any of them lead to the same conclusion. Yes,
and at this point, it's
kind of moot.
It's not even about the story. I mean, it's so many people, so many stories have emerged from that day. You know, where were you on that day? What was on your mind? What was happening? And then how's it played out, you know, because every time the anniversary comes up, I'm not going to lie, I have to tell you, I'm kind of surprised. I don't know why it surprises me every time. And yeah, so our topic today is peace in my heart. Peace in my heart. And this actually came before we realized it was 9/11, but I think it's a perfect time to talk about peace in our heart, and with all that's going on in the world and political things and presidential debates and all just everything. How do we hold on to that peace in our hearts? So that's what we're going to be talking about after, you know how this goes, after a little bit. But first, how was your week?
Good, thank you. Exciting. Challenging, lots of different things. Very busy, and also good because actually I took a day off. That was nice. I took a day off.
Taking the day off was super important. I mean, and you know what I noticed when you took the day off was you could still find a way to criticize it and not have gotten enough done.
Well, yeah.
No, but I think I think that's really important to note that, like, how we go, okay, now I'm going to take a day off and relax. And at the end of it, we go, we didn't get enough done. Not enough happened. So I think we're sending mixed messages to the universe.
I think it's in part because when I think of a day off from some of the things and responsibilities I have outside the house, out, you know, within the spiritual community and all those things, then I think, oh, now I need to get to all the things that I have responsibility for in the house that I don't get to because I'm usually attending to those things that are outside. So, of course, that means that at some level, the day off looks like a day of work or feels like it should be a day of work in order to do that. So I think my solution is that we have to go to Hawaii again soon, where we can't work on stuff in the house and we'll be far away from all the other things we have to do.
Yes.
I think that's a great idea. What do you think?
Well, I'm pretty sure, don't spread this rumor, but I'm pretty sure I overheard our big boss, Robert Brzezinski, talking about sending all of us, along with our producer, Michael Mangus, for a long needed rest to Hawaii.
Oh, yeah.
In the future.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
We, of course, will be broadcasting from Hawaii, but hey, it's the least we could do, right? All right. So where were you on that day? Michael says he remembers being at the county treasurer's office on a skeleton crew. Yeah, Gil and I were actually getting in the car. We got in the car. We were driving his dad to his 50th.
Yeah, we were
60th.
driving to the airport to drop him off to go to his 50th high school reunion in Illinois. We were in California.
Yep. And as we drove in, we got out of the car and walked in and walked by the television set that was on in the restaurant at the airport. And a plane had flown into the building and everybody was like, wait, what's that? What is that, a movie? Is that what's happening? And from there it began.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. It was a crazy day.
We did, however, get Dad to the reunion because my sister lived in Vegas, met us partway. We traded him off and she drove him on to his reunion. So,
his reunion in Illinois.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he wouldn't miss it.
Yeah, it was an interesting time though. You know, and it was interesting because we were driving to the airport and the radio wasn't on and I said, something's going on in the world. And we didn't obviously know what until we got there. So yeah, interesting to think about where you were. It's like where you were when you heard John Lennon was shot.
Mm-hmm.
All those kind of things. Interesting. I mean, they're time-stopping moments, you know, where you just, it's like you mentally have a snapshot of like where you were, what you were doing. And yeah, it's wild. It's wild.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Michael says he had to get on a plane 4 weeks later to go to college.
All righty.
Yeah. It's interesting because the world was different. The world had changed and nothing was the same. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So my week has been good. Pretty much the same as yours. I mean, it's just busy and I feel a little unorganized. I feel like I need some focus. I mean, there's good moments where I'm totally in sync and there's other moments where I'm all over the place. So I'm hoping that I'll move into totally in sync. All right, let's hear. Shay says, I had a premonition of something terrible happening, and I don't know if it was 9/11 or my dental diagnosis directly after that. Terrible time for her. Yeah, interesting.
Well, I think, so many people had a sense of some kind, clearly. There was clearly both information out there and and people just sensing that something was happening from those that didn't end up going, and all those different pieces. So it doesn't surprise me that you would have had some inkling, and just like Robyn had some inkling something was going on in the world, and we just didn't know what. And we had no idea we're driving into the middle of it in a certain way, in the way you could 3,000 miles away, but walking into an airport and then, sitting around waiting to find out what was going to happen with the plane and all those kinds of things. It was an interesting day. So,
well, yeah, it was one of those surreal moments because it was unprecedented. We didn't know what was next.
Yeah. And I think, when we talk about peace in our hearts, that's the big thing that comes down for me is this kind of thing both can happen, has happened, and we can live in fear of it, or we can find that place in our hearts where we live in peace. And that peace hopefully will spread out to where there's more peace in the world rather than less. Okay. That's my thought.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll be diving deeper into that, but it's time for the good news.
It is?
Yep.
Okay.
Give it to me.
All right. So here it is. And I thought this was a great story for today because it talks about the reality of how much of a difference we make. So a young woman, 23-year-old woman, was driving her car, got pulled over for a ticket, and told the police officer, I can't afford it. I'm barely making it. I'm in a crappy job. I'm all this stuff. And she said, I don't know what to do and whatever. And he said, well, let's talk about it. And so they had this discussion about, what could she do? What were her options? What might happen? And arrived at the fact that I assume because maybe she said she liked some of this stuff or whatever, that going to a nursing school would be a really smart idea for her. And she could actually enroll in it, and that would both give her something to do and give her the basis to make some much better money and support herself. So she did. And when she graduated, she invited the police officer to come to her graduation. And he was surprised. But I think it's such a great concept that somebody took a moment, and he didn't expect anything. He did give her a ticket for $0 and told her, don't drive so fast. But the point being that somebody took the time to really look at what's going on with somebody rather than just the letter of the law and
and the quota they have to fill, and being doing their job one way.
Right. It's again, for me, it's that thing where we actually stop and have humanity for other people. And we stand in that place of humanity, which can change everything.
Yep.
And there you go. That's mine. What about you?
Well, it's interesting because I think mine is similar. I actually read that story. I really liked that story. But my story is about a teacher named Dan Shula, who is from, I believe it's Paw Paw, Michigan. And he is a fifth grade teacher. He's 32 years old. He's been teaching fifth grade for 11 years. And a few years back, or several years back, he started this tradition of, or this ritual, or whatever you want to call it, of having lunch with his students. So every day, almost, he has lunch with his students. And sometimes it's just his class. They split the class into a certain amount of tables so that each table can have a different day. Other times, other students from other classes want to sit there, but at one point, a student asked him to have lunch, and he realized how important this makes them feel. And, so every day he has chicken and rice. Every day he brings his chicken and rice. And he sits with the students. And it's just created, not only for those students, but it's created this connection with teachers and all over the world, going, what a great idea, and people beginning to do that. And I think, again, like the police officer, it's such a different, it's shifting it. It's like shifting it that 1 degree where, because you don't know what's going on for anybody at home, especially kids, right? You don't know what's going on in their homes, or how they're related to by their parents, or if they go home and have anybody that even talks to them, or if they just get a TV turned on. So this is really an opportunity for them to be able to talk and explore more, and he listens, and it's a great thing. That's my story.
Yeah, I think, teachers are another group of people that can strictly do their job or really show up for kids. And I think most of them really show up for kids as best they can in different ways. And that's a great example. And kids need it, because God knows, being in the position of a parent at the moment, it's not always within our reach to even be the person they need in the moment. And so it's great to have other people that are holding that space for our kids as well.
Yes, and I would just say also, responding to what you just said, being a parent in this moment, you're always a parent, and so how do you take this moment and do the next thing that's right in the journey, especially as your kids get older. How do you know? You go, oh, they're busy, they have their own life, they don't want to hear from me. Is that true? We don't know. So if you lead with your heart, like Dan was doing, and like the police officer was doing, and follow the curiosity of, the police officer going, so, okay, let's talk about what you do like, or what you could do, or whatever he talked about, or the teacher sitting down and going, tell me about yourself. What do you like to do? And being able to know more about his students, it's the same. Being a parent, being a friend, all of those things. That's my 2 cents. So that's all pretty good news. So there you have it. Good news for today. And when we come back, we will be discussing peace in our heart. And as Shay has requested, we'll discuss peace coexisting with a lot of mixed emotions. Good Lord, don't we all have them? So we will see you right back here on New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
Hello, hello, hello. We are back. This is Rockin the Love, and I'm Robyn.
And I'm Gil, and we are happy to be spending our Wednesday afternoon with you. You know, who knew when we set this up that 12 noon Pacific and 1 o'clock Mountain would actually be something that we needed to know for our own broadcasting. At the time, it was just because New Thought Media Network was in Mountain Time and we were in Pacific. And here we are now broadcasting from Mountain Time together. I just thought that was a funny thing.
It's just an out picturing of we never know.
It's true.
I apologize for all my throat clearing. I am experiencing something I've never experienced called allergies here in New Mexico as the air blows around. So generally I would mute myself, but then you wouldn't hear him while he was talking, which sometimes is a good thing, but for all intent and purposes, not here. So here we are. Okay. Peace, abiding peace, peace beyond human understanding.
I think that's it's kind of a common phrase, but at some level, I believe that is what peace is. It's that thing that's beyond what we really understand. It's hard to really put your finger on. You know, we talk about peace in terms of what it's not a lot of times. But what is that when we feel that place right there
That
we
inner
just
peace.
did, where it's like, okay, it's our, I know it's okay, whatever it is. And, that goes with Shay, what you said a minute ago about in the midst of emotions. I mean, when we can find that place where we know that there's peace in our hearts, even when we have other feelings happening, even when we are working through other feelings, even when we are working through other experiences, that's a powerful place to be.
Yeah, and I think what you just said, that breath. So for me, that breath is really a reset. I mean, when I take that breath, it is a reset that allows everything else to go and to just be in that moment and recalibrate, and I feel it. I felt it, when I used to live in Santa Monica in California, as you were driving down the street, like from West LA, you'd hit a spot on the boulevard where you could see the ocean. And my whole body would go and just take that breath and release it and let it go. And I think that, we do that in many situations, right? Where we just go, okay, even when we're about to start like a discussion or something, it's like, okay, all right.
Well, I think nature does that for us a lot. And somehow it allows us to access that peace in a way that we wouldn't. Like you said, you see the ocean. And people see, a beautiful forest and they just walk into it and hear the wind in the trees and they just go, and then, of course, there's other places where we feel it. When we walk into a room with a group of people where we just feel at home, we feel safe. And suddenly we realize that ultimately there's peace.
Right. And I share this quote from Nicole Slosh.
LCSW.
Yes. Nicole Sachs. Got it. Stressful emotional states influence how we perceive reality. The key to reducing anxiety is to press pause and make sure what's going on is really going on.
Wow, that's an interesting comment. I like that. And it strikes me because, one of the things we talk about in our spiritual understanding is that what's really going on is something beyond what we're seeing most of the time. So, seeing literally or sensing, there's something greater happening, even when what appears to be happening is, my tire's flat and I can't drive my car. There's something more happening there, and and I think in some ways she's saying, you take a moment and go, is this really what's happening? And I think the idea there is that we stop and go, okay, well, that may be what it looks like, but is this really saying that I shouldn't be going to work, or I can't get around town anymore, or I'm stuck in my house, or whatever my thought is because my tire's flat, right?
Right. Well, but I think, I mean, if we stretch that a little, it goes to what Shay's asking or saying, how, of peace coexisting with a lot of mixed emotions. Like we always have so many emotions happening, or so many thoughts, or so many ideas about what's happening, or why it should be, or how it should be. And how amongst that do we maintain that or return to that place of peace? I mean, we could use any number of examples.
Mm-hmm. Would you like to use one?
Well, I was trying to pick anything but politics, but that's all I can think about.
Why?
No, I mean, I'm serious. That's just the
Just what's up
topical
in your
one.
head
That's
right
what's
now.
up. Yeah. Because a lot of people are concerned,
Right.
And so amidst that concern, while they, many anchor in a knowingness anyway that it's going to be okay, but there's still all that agitation or that fear or that doubt or that worry, whatever going on in their heads. And so how do you find balance in that?
Right. And how do you trust what you're seeing beyond what is in front of you? How do we learn to trust that? Because that's really where the peace lies, is in that knowingness that it's okay. Knowingness that, whatever the crazy is that's in front of us is not the reality of what has to be, you
Right.
know? It's my thought.
So again, though, what do you do? What do you do to find that? Like how do you stay anchored in that? I mean, for me, it's a centering and going back. I don't want it to sound like jargon, but going back to that space of really knowing that God is all that there is, that the universe is all that there is, that spirit is everywhere present. And even though I don't understand it, because I rarely understand it.
Right. Right.
And really being able to somehow shift on that to a knowing place.
Yeah, I think that's, sometimes that sounds very jargony. I hear you, and I think what it is when we get in touch with that truth of ourselves that is beyond what we feel. There is that place in us which has been originally created and has and holds the space where we've never been hurt or harmed or damaged in any way. And that's that place of perfection that we come from. And that space is often very difficult to note because we've had so many messages in our lives that say that's not true. That we are damaged. There is a reason why we don't work right. And many of these messages come from ourselves, let alone from other people.
Absolutely.
But yet, if there's somewhere we can trust that there is that place in us, then that can shift and allow us to just notice those emotions rather than getting tied up in them.
Right. I want to share another quote that says, if you're not at peace with yourself, nothing that you attract will bring you peace.
Ah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that goes to whatever we put out comes in, because it's constantly circulating.
Right.
Right. And so if we're putting out worry, fear, doubt, pain, even putting out our angst and anxiety, other people are going to sense that and often push it back towards us in some way.
Right. And Shay said, I allow the mixed emotions, connect with Christ consciousness, and allow that to heal me. It's a continuity. I'm sorry, I'm reading from the wrong place. It's a continuing process. I wait for it to pass and proceed with going in the direction of my own dreams.
I wait for it to pass. And I think that Shay is a very astute point, because so often I think I want to make it go away or ignore it or something. And sometimes I just need to go, oh, this just feels crappy. And I just need to acknowledge that it does. And also I know the truth that this is just a feeling moving through me right now, and wait for it to pass and allow myself to move on, because I know the truth behind it.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that, Shay, what you're saying is really beautiful, and that, when you said I allow that to heal me. I wait for it to pass. I think that's really great, because what I'm hearing in that, and what I'm hearing and from knowing you also, is that you don't always wait.
Mm-mm.
you don't wait, because in the waiting, like in her saying waiting, I get that there's an acknowledgement of what it is, that this is just stuff and it's gonna pass.
Right.
Whereas sometimes we get caught in the stuff.
Right. Then the stuff becomes real, and it's about the stuff, which is, it's not really about. It's about this thing moving through us.
Right.
I mean, I become identified with, I am angry. I am whatever.
Right.
And the reality is, I'm experiencing an emotion of anger moving through me. I'm experiencing an emotion of sadness moving through me, but that doesn't describe who I am. And and that's a different thing. And to me, that's part of what she was getting at too. Way past you that it's moving through.
Right.
And it doesn't necessarily feel wonderful while it's there, but it's moving through.
Right. But I think in what she's saying also, there's a level at which she's putting all of her tools and skills to work. And so all the things that we've learned or been taught or are trying to learn, like not to take it personal.
Mm-hmm.
And that, the universe is for us and not against us. And I say this especially for personal relationships, right? Because
well, the universe is for me. I'm just not always sure about others.
I know. Well, it's all about you. But I'm saying, like, even in the little things in relationships that can throw us off, whether it's your personal relationship, your work relationship. Obviously, I'm going to use our personal relationship. Okay, I got one.
Oh, good.
So the other day we cleaned our cupboards, our pantry, and organized another closet with a bookcase so it could be our pantry. And and Gil did a beautiful job and organized everything. And I came in and noticed that he still had spaghetti on one side, but the sauce was there. So I thought, well, I should put the spaghetti next to the sauce. Do not put this. Don't touch
didn't
anything.
Go there.
I rest my case. So he opens it and he gets he blows up. I'm like, you would have thought I had, got into business with Russia or something. He's like, this doesn't go here. And threw the spaghetti down. It was very dramatic. And, again, it's not personal. it was, you know what I mean? And it's really, but it's being able to take that moment when there's not peace in your world, because clearly I rocked his world, and I don't say that to be funny. I say that seriously. I get that in his way of thinking, or in his, attention to
Well,
detail self.
and
that-
everything else that was going on at the same time for me.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm just saying.
I mean, everything had its place, and that happens for all of us in different ways. So, like, how did in that moment when you saw the spaghetti, it seems so silly, no, but really, but how do you take a breath and go? Because I get it when you go, oh, this is not the way I wanted it to be. This doesn't go here. But how do you go? Like, is there a way to shift and find a piece, find humor, find the way to be the teacher? Because I know that if a 4-year-old was standing next to you and they had done it, you would have been like the perfect parent that you are, and gone, hey, buddy, how do you blah, blah, blah. What if we put it here? Or I was thinking, what are you thinking? Or, you know what I mean? So how do you find that? Are you glaring at me?
I'm glaring. No, I'm not
How do
glaring.
you find that place where we can, coexist like that?
But I think the key really in that was what you said about not taking it personally for you, because in that moment I wasn't in a place to not take it personally. And so you were the one that really had the choice at that moment. I mean, I had the choice, but I wasn't feeling like I could, or I didn't. So my point being that part of that, not taking it personally, is about realizing that, stuff that comes up is about all kinds of things, and most of it doesn't relate to whatever it is you're talking about.
It's true. Most of the time, our minds are somewhere else. I'm going to put up another quote that seems to go here.
Okay.
Pay attention to your patterns. The way you learn to survive may not be the way you want to continue to live. Heal and shift.
Piss off. Ew, piss off. Yes, that's true. I mean, that's our whole journey, right? Is realizing what we do because somehow we think that will help us survive, and what what the truth is around it. And like I said, often the truth takes a minute to get to, because I can be very invested in whatever that thought is, that belief is about what will help me survive.
Right. And the way that it's supposed to be. And I mean, we all have that to various degrees, but I mean, we've all grown up with the way. And so it's like, how invested are we in that?
And we all create ways that it should be together,
Absolutely.
in groups or in a relationship where we determine this is how it should be. And when somebody does it outside of that, it's like, well, how dare you? Or is that really safe? We need to think about all these different things, because that is not what we signed up for, and those all go to things of what people's emotions are, their fear, their concern, their genuine concern, they're being kind of stuck in some old belief system that, it has to be a certain way or it won't work. I mean, being able to change and adapt in a relationship going forward is a real challenge. Not so much for you, but
I was thinking, as you were saying that, I was thinking it's kind of like spring cleaning. Like, what if we could just spring clean our minds? What if we could just go, oh, look, there's a thought from when I was growing up that doesn't serve me. Oh, look, I don't really have to pack luggage like this, because I can pack it like this and it still works out just fine, or whatever our stuff is. Like, how do we get rid of those, how do we let go?
And, again, that all outpictures in our physical world and our other worlds too. I mean, how do we let go of the things that we don't really need or don't really use, or don't really serve us anymore. And I think that's what the whole journey is about, is realizing, oh, that's just there because I didn't know what else to do. That's just there because my parents thought it was a good idea. That's, that isn't the truth of the world or of my life or what needs to be in my relationship.
Yeah. It's like that story about the roast beef or whatever it is.
The ham. Yeah.
Pot roast.
Pot roast? Yeah, it was pot roast.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know it, tell it.
So, family dinner, everybody's at the house for a special family dinner, and they're getting out the pot roast, and the woman starts cutting the ends off of it, and the mom who's there with her says, "Why are you doing that?" Says, "Because that's what you always did." She said, "I only did it because Grandma did it." And Grandma's standing there, and Grandma says, "I only did it because my pan wasn't big enough. I had to cut off the ends to make it fit." So, this thing that we believe is somehow important, the importance of it has nothing to do with what we've associated it with.
Right.
The
It's
importance
just
was
gotten handed down.
it's just, we just took it on, and we've labeled it as important somehow to this process, when now that we have larger pans, it doesn't matter.
So true.
Right?
Yeah. So
It's kind of like my waist. Larger pants. I can fit all that in there.
okay.
Yeah.
So on this day of remembering and honoring, and we want to invite you to really just take a moment, and whether you're saying a prayer, sending out love for 9/11, for all of the people that were involved, and first responders and family, and for all of the people that were involved in any way, just take a moment and send some love. Or there's all kinds of meditations and things going on today, and anchoring that. And we know that when you anchor that anyway, it helps to shift the world. So yeah.
As we relieve the anxiety and whatever it is in ourselves, and we'll focus on that peace, and we offer that out to the world. Again, this is the circulation. As we offer that out, that's what begins to come back, and it comes back because others are receiving it and are able to offer it out. So
yeah, and I want to say that too for the political landscape of our country and of the world. And just for the next, what is it, like 60 some days now?
56 days or something.
56 days. Yeah, and beyond, obviously, but just I tend to want to call forth kindness and peace. Kindness, just because I'm just tired of hearing people say silly things, say to each other that are disrespectful. I mean, I don't think we have to play like that. So, my prayer would be for everyone to find the peace and the peace of themselves that they can take into this journey that really is in integrity and kindness.
Well, it's like our relationship. Do I? Don't answer this question. Do I? Do I get angry and bring up all the things that you always do and make and that always frustrate me, and the things that look wrong and that you've never done right, or do I say, that really wasn't my idea for the noodles? You know what I mean?
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
you know, it's that kind, and to me, that's the thing in our whole world, our whole discourse is, let's talk about what matters. Like, what's your idea? What's my idea? What idea can work, rather than who did what and who we need to blame.
okay, Michael, can you take a note of this? We're at 46 minutes in the tape, and Gil has just said, let's have a conversation about this, and how we do this, because that doesn't usually happen. So I'm going to refer back to this tape. Any of you that need that in your relationship, it's right around 46 minutes.
It's never about spaghetti.
But it's true. Shay's right. It's never about spaghetti. It's about we know what it's about, right? But Gil's we each have our own through line. Gil's general through line is
that I'm not enough and I don't do it right.
that he didn't do it right. So here he'd done this beautiful thing, and the one thing I did was move spaghetti, and to him that said, I didn't do it right because I didn't put the spaghetti there, you know, kind of thing. So it's always about something else. I mean, there's always a way to go deeper.
Wait a minute, what's your through line? That wasn't fair.
You know my through line.
I'm teasing you.
My through line is that I feel abandoned, or that people don't like me.
Yeah.
I feel like Sally Field now. They like me. Yeah, but I mean, we all have that kind of through line. I mean, and in the olden days, had we had this spaghetti moment, he would have been mad about the spaghetti because he didn't do it right, and I would have been like, okay, so do you want a divorce? Do you want to leave me? Because that's the way that used to go. So there you go. I have outed myself.
Whew, thank you. Oh, and somebody's excited to hear it too.
So yeah. So I think that's super. I mean, it's very true that there's always something else.
I know how this goes. All right. But I have peace in my heart, so I'm okay with it. I don't take it personally, but thank you. I don't take it personally.
Well, and if we're going straight up metaphysics, you know, that's the piece of ourselves that we need to heal, right? So if I think people don't like me, it's the piece of me that I need to heal, what I don't like about me. God, it's really hard to find, though.
Yeah.
Just kidding. No, but you know what I mean. I mean, there's always a back thing. So yeah. So I hope that, you know, I do hope that we can lead this country into a more peaceful place. You know,
a more loving, peaceful place for everybody.
Although I will say, I just think we've just started a whole new uproar. I think Taylor Swift has done it because
she came out and endorsed.
By endorsing Kamala, he has already said, I never liked her anyway. She's going to be in trouble for this. Yeah. Okay. So speaking of things that need to be healed, there are just things out there for all of us to work on.
Yes.
All right, I am going to leave us with yet another quote.
Is it that time already?
It's pretty close. It's
wow. I well, I had my glasses on. I couldn't quite see the time. It's crazy. Yeah. That's crazy. Shake it off. Yeah. And how true that is for all of it. You know, shake it off and move on.
Yeah. Well,
you know?
Yeah.
And to me, that's when we can anchor in that peace in our hearts, we can shake it off, whatever it is, whether it feels like something coming from somewhere else or it feels like something coming from within us. We can go, okay, is that true? Let it go.
You shake it off and you go back to what's true.
Yeah.
So I leave you with this quote: let go once, and if it keeps coming up, let go again. Peace does not just happen. You have to practice it.
You have to practice it.
And I think that's true.
Yeah.
Because so many times we because it's not what we know.
Well, and if you like to be right or something, then it's not about the peace. It's about proving whatever the thing is you want to prove. I say this from myself. But, and so the practice is to go, do I really need to prove this? Is that really true? No, it's not. You know, who am I proving this to? Would be another good question. You know, whatever that is, to move beyond it.
And is there space? Is there space for it to be more than one way? Or can we have space? I mean, yeah, can we have space for others and the way they do things, the way they think, the way what they believe, you know? And that's a big one. That's a big one. And not a topic for right now.
Okay.
So next week, I think what we're going to be talking about is the autumn equinox.
Woo!
That's because it's a time of change. Change. So as you shake it off, just think about that. Think about the change coming up in the seasons as we move into fall and all that good stuff. And
let me just clarify. If we're talking about that, are we going to have somebody with us?
We will have somebody with us.
So we'll have a guest if we're going to do that. So just so you know, we'll have a guest, special guest, to talk about that.
Did you want to say who it is now that
I didn't necessarily feel like that was important. What was important was for them to know it wouldn't just be us.
We'll have a guest. Next week, we will be hopefully joined by Sonia Jackson. The reason I did not mention a guest was because I wasn't sure if it was going to be next week or the week after. But one of these 2 weeks, Sonia Jackson will be here to talk about change and invite you to an autumn equinox Zoom celebration as well. And, you know, we're just full of surprises here. So we'd love to have you back here with us, and you'll see what we do.
So keep rocking the love this week.
Oh,
keep
God.
rocking the love with yourself.
Oh, yes.
And hold that peace in your heart.
Rock the love more now than ever. Okay? We'll see you next week, everybody. Rock the love.